meaning to invest in one, but
considering what they do, it is fucking amazing that houses don't even have them. So
that's because they're expensive. I have a meaning to invest in a couple.
Friends, welcome to Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, The Last Scion, episode 14. The episode name is Penance. What worries me is that James works a way to try to make the name of the show relevant. He does that for his episode titles. My episode titles are just random strings of words I pin together or Daft Punk songs. So, as someone
is from the episode.
Sometimes. As someone whose character has not always been the most traditionally faithful, the word penance causes me concern, nervousness. As for my intro tonight, I will say to the 56% of my audience that are American, vote.org. Find out if you're registered. Check up on your registration. Request an absentee ballot. Learn about the absentee ballot laws in your state. I yield my time to you, James. That was my intro.
Okay, thanks very much. I am Grimdark James. Welcome back to episode 14. What have I had this week? I obviously was here for BattleTech. That was a lot of fun. I watched.
Was it a lot of fun? I think maybe we had different experiences.
Well, I said I did a total of 6 damage in that whole game. So,
wow.
But that's it worked out pretty well in the end. Yeah. So
honestly, I played that for 1 episode or 2 episodes. I can't remember. And I don't remember how much damage I did. Arthur, do you remember how much damage I did?
No.
If any?
I don't
think I did any.
That doesn't sound right. You were part of the island hopping mosh pit episode. I remember you hitting.
And I was a flamethrower guy.
Yeah, and you listen, like I'm pretty sure you trashed a bunch of tanks. It was a good tank time.
You jumped on a couple, you definitely punched some.
A tank to Titan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember it. It was such a fucking long time ago. It was like
almost 2 years.
To Warsaw. Yeah.
What else you got, James?
Other than BattleTech, just a couple of new to streaming shows I watched this weekend so far. So I watched The Old Guard when that came out on Friday. And
what is that?
Sorry?
What is
this
that?
is
Old Guard?
It's based on an old comic book. Charlize Theron is the main actress in it. It's got the guy's name I can never pronounce, who was like the operative in Serenity.
Oh wait, is this the one where they're like
immortals
or some shit?
Yeah, they're immortals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it definitely, like, watching it, it felt like it wanted to be like a TV series pilot rather than a movie. And I read into it afterwards and found out they actually originally pitched a TV series to Netflix, but they can only get what they got a trilogy of films. So it's good to see that they'll probably do more of it after this first movie, because I think it was quite good. I enjoyed it. And then last night I watched Greyhound, because that's just hit streaming as well. That's the new Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah, Tom Hanks. How is that?
I was surprised how short it was. It was 1 hour 21 without credits, and there was like 13 minutes of credits to pad it out to theatrical length. So yeah, it was. It was one of those annoying things where there was stuff that was in the trailer that wasn't in the film. I'm like waiting for this.
That's going to infuriate me because I really like the trailer.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not a big spoiler, but you know, in the trailer, there's a scene where like the guy on the comms like says, "Good luck surviving the night."
Yeah, with the German accent. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
Right, yeah.
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. And
no,
so,
that's my favorite.
When they're at the point where, like, okay, we're at the other side now, I'm thinking like there must be one more night where they're going to be rated, because there's that scene that hasn't happened yet, you know, and the film's only an hour and 11 minutes in. But no,
maybe they had to cut content from it because they went from theatrical release to what now, like Apple Movies or something.
Yeah, Apple TV. Yeah. So and apparently I was reading that Tom Hanks was really disappointed because he did the screenplay for this. It's based off a book. But he did the screenplay, and it was clearly meant to be something of a magnum opus, you know. And I think it really, watching it even on a 4K 70-inch, it would have been so much better in a cinema, because a lot of it's done at nighttime at sea, so it's a very dark environment anyway.
Like the calibrated TV problem. Yeah, okay. I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I think it just would have been great on the big screen, and it's disappointing it won't get to be there. And I think apparently Tom Hanks felt the same way. But yeah, I was hoping for another Saving Private Ryan, and it was more of a generic war movie, but I still enjoyed it. It was.
I was gonna
largely
say
neutral.
you should wait for the Schneider cut as a joke, but the director's name is Aaron Schneider, and I'm like, oh fuck me, okay. It's unfortunate. Yeah.
The only thing I'll call attention to is the fact that Indominus has been up now for pre-order. This is the new 9th edition box set for 40k, and it's turned into a bit of a clusterfuck, really, because I think it hit Australia, New Zealand first and sold out in an hour, just under an hour. In the UK, it sold out in 15 minutes. In the US, it sold out in 5. A lot of people are having issues with like the website crashing because of the workload, and so they'd get in there, they'd put it in their cart, they'd go to pay, crash, come back in again. Now it's sold out. So if you like look on hashtag Indominus on Twitter, there's a lot of saltiness, pages and pages of people that missed out that are really quite disappointed, especially because it was so hyped up for the last 4 weeks. And there were all these comments about how, yep, we know it's going to be popular. We've got lots. We've got boatloads of stock. You're going to get a copy. And then it was a 6 per customer limit, then a 3 per customer limit. And they put a capture on middle of the day yesterday. And the end result is that a lot of people apparently missed out. But every store is apparently getting like 20 copies from what I've heard. So there's still the opportunity to go in and pick it up in store. But I think that I remember how people felt about the Sisters Battle launch last year, which was also a limited release. And it feels like that they've done the same. They've made the same mistakes again without a lot of sort of proper planning. And people have said, you know, it's one thing to say, hey, if we underproduce, we'll never get an issue of overproduction where we've got to scrap stock. You know, we'd rather make less money at the front than have the risk of overproduction. But if you've got a 2-week pre-order cycle which sells out in the first 5 minutes, then you have hugely underestimated what your overproduction point is. I think that's where they sort of fallen over. But we'll see how they manage it. I've got predictions based upon things like the way the sprues are laid out about how they might be released later in some other format as well. But I'll talk about that on my podcast, grim.podcast.com.
Do you think,
check it out this week?
Grim.podcast.com. There's a new episode this week?
There will be. I'm recording with my co-host tomorrow. So
do you think, James, that they're trying to do the same thing that Nintendo did with Amiibos, where they drive up price of basically little plastic figurines by reducing the amount of stock availability there is?
Artificial scarcity is 100% a valid tactic that I have, as a marketeer, used in product development as well. So given Games Workshop's share price, there's no doubt that they are savvy when it comes to managing their channel.
I mean, look, you say legitimate tactic. I feel like it's a tactic, certainly.
Yeah, so
the legitimacy
when I say,
of it is infuriating, some might say.
When I say legitimate, I mean it works, not that necessarily is
authentic,
fair.
Yeah, effective.
I mean,
I want to hop back to that Grimdark podcast.
Makes their board games. So.
I want to know when you're going to get Pondo on there as a guest commentator expert.
I was thinking we need like a Pondo Paints spot in like the show.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. We're in the same place.
It is only an audio medium though, so it's difficult to do a painting show on an audio medium.
I'll just have my mic set up far away, and you just hear me cussing occasionally.
No, I feel like
to...
it'd be the ASMR, and Pondo could talk through what he's doing.
Yeah, it'd be cussing as I'm trying to work on the eyes. Just... Be like, God.
No, I would love to hear.
Get a brush and just rub it against the microphone.
Yeah,
that's the ASMR for some.
I want Pondo's expert painting. Like, now you see I'm going in here with F611H5. Now, as you might know, this is a difficult one to apply to the left leg of this Gravis captain, so I'm putting only a gentle amount of pressure on there. All right, doing the left swish now to complete the Nike symbol on his boots. I feel like that could be very popular. Also, now I want to see a Gravis captain with Nikes.
I was cursing quite a bit because I kept on hitting points where I was like, I damn it, I glued this thing together when I shouldn't have, and now I can't get this.
You know what to say. measure twice, then accidentally cut the exterior hull of a oxygen-filled spaceship.
I guess, yeah.
You only get one chance to do that one.
That's it. Don't shipwreck while drunk.
Don't shipwreck, Welch. Listen, I'm working on 2 hours of sleep, and I drank before this stream, so I was playing Faker and Order, and I had to stop. I was like, I've made so many mistakes, fucked up so badly. I'm trying not to make any executive decisions this episode. James, you got anything else?
No. I don't want to take up too much time, so I'll pass it off.
Pondo, we're talking about you, so let's move over to you.
I am Pondo, or Pondo the Mad. You can catch me on YouTube or Twitch /Pondo the Mad. I haven't really done much the past couple of days.
I don't think that's true. I saw a notification on YouTube this morning. Tell me about that.
Yes, I finally got off, stopped being lazy, and got through, finished clipping everything, and I found out apparently I had uploaded up to 7 episodes. Well, actually up to, I guess, 5 technically. And I had the rest just sitting on it, so I just clipped up the rest. Found out that I'm missing episode 8, which is what it is. I probably have it buried somewhere. I just don't feel like looking for it at the moment.
We haven't talked about what this is. You're just saying episode. What episodes are we talking about? Are you talking about your D&D 5e show in a method that the Japanese would call Jistaruto?
I try to comprehend that's what gestalt means in Japanese.
It is Jistaruto,
and it just made me think of Naruto because the very end of it.
You're caught up in that. Skip past that part. Get back to the part where you tell us about the show.
Yes, I finished going through what episodes I had, uploaded them, and started releasing them sequentially, day by day basis of my 5e Gestalt game that I do Sundays at typically Sundays at around 8 p.m. Eastern.
Fantastic. We got there. We sold that bit. Yep. I'm so glad we worked on it ahead of time in order to work the kinks out on that one.
Oh, absolutely. Other than that, I hadn't really done much. I mean, I did that really last night, and just had them all uploaded while I was asleep. And then when I woke up, there's still a video not finished yet, which I understood. YouTube is YouTube. Sometimes they're slow at uploading, sometimes they're not.
About processing.
Yes.
You know, speaking of someone who processes things into his stomach right now, Dave, what do you got?
Right now, pretzels.
I just meant in general, but yeah, I work with pretzels.
So, if you watch the Cyberpunk stream, you know about my foray into the meat dimension. So I'm not going to talk about that today.
Thank you. I can't do it again.
What I am going to talk about though is one of my all-time favorite video game series has just announced that they're making a 6th version of the game, which is fantastic. And in case
Final
you're
Fantasy 13-6? Interesting.
No, Far Cry. Far Cry. I absolutely fucking adore Far Cry. They've been off their game recently with Far Cry, I think. But I have high hopes for this because
I didn't realize Far Cry 6. Huh.
Yeah, and they've got Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh,
I think
yes.
how you pronounce his name?
Mr. Baritone. Yes.
Yeah. And that has me fucking hyped. I don't know, like
Far Cry 3 prequel? Oh.
I don't know. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. He trains young Voss, the guy who goes, you know what the definition of insanity is? That's a great scene.
I mean, I've heard that that's not what it is, but I don't know.
We'll see.
It doesn't matter to me because the thing that's the most important is that they're taking it back to a tropical setting like beaches and shit like that, which is really good.
I didn't dislike Far Cry 5 as much as some people, but certainly the last bit of the game was a stretch.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I'm all for them exploring different locales with stuff, but Far Cry and the tropical settings are like, you know, like that.
I mean, Far Cry 4 was pretty good. That was not tropical, mostly. 3 was...
Far Cry 4 was like Alpine, right?
It was, yeah, it was in India.
Yeah. Far Cry 2 is probably my favorite of the lot, though. Mostly because of how just fucking absurd that game is. But it's mechanically, it's like awful. Like if you play Far Cry 2 now, you'll hate it. But at the time, it was just like, you know, the buddy system, the idea that there was people looking out for you and that they could die and all this stuff. It's so good. But Far Cry 3, you know, nailed it perfectly. That's like the modern.
It was really nice. And sliding through the grass behind a camp, nailing a dude in the back of the head with an arrow, ghosting the whole alarm station and getting mega points as a result.
But I feel like they saw how well that did, and then they just didn't deviate from that path. And then the next 2 games were basically that, like, with even more stuff removed, but just like handholdy stuff added in. And I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. I would prefer a little bit more, you know, less bombastic and more like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you can remove bombastic from Far Cry now.
4 in the melee helicopter with the grenade launcher.
That's all I did in that
That was
game,
real shit. That was real shit.
Yeah. The fact that they had that as an option, you could just literally do it. I just did it everywhere, and I was like, okay, the game's done for me now. Like, I literally have to stop myself from doing a mechanic in the game in order to make it more interesting.
I never really did that.
Oh, it's so good. It's like playing explosive cricket.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what.
I never really did that in Far Cry 4. I didn't find fun in that. I always try to stealth.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm one of those players that are always like, when I find something that works for me, I stick with it. You know, like that's just how I am with video games. So, yeah. But yeah, what were you saying? Sorry, Pondo?
No, that's it. I never tried to do that. I usually just ran around, used the sniper rifle, or sometimes a bow and arrow, and just stealth the camps as much as possible. Because I didn't want to spend the extra 10 minutes having to fight through all the reinforcements that came in.
Oh, it's too bad. Yeah. You know, one of the best ways to play the game is to just drive like a berserk crazy person into an area and then start unloading ammunition in every direction.
Yeah. Far Cry 5 was fun, but like the shovel thing was just way too fucking stupid in that game.
Oh, throwing a shovel? I guess I never really did that.
It was so fucking broken. You could literally like spear a dude from like a good kilometer away with a fucking shovel. And it was just like, yeah.
What I know is that you and I teamed up to do some of those aircraft missions, and I was so horrendous. I kept holding us back, and I felt really bad because you were like, "I'm halfway through. I've done perfectly," and then I was like, "I don't know. I'm upside down," and I crashed into every object on the map. I exploded. We're gonna have to redo it for the 10th time. Yeah, it was tough. Got anything else, Dave?
I mean, outside of that, I mean, not a whole lot, I guess. I mean, you know, we've got political shit going on over here in Poland. Like, we're voting tomorrow for president. I know no one gives a fuck because Poland is so small and insular compared to the rest of the world.
Listen, I don't know if you know this, but Poland is actually very important to the United States. Because you're the first line of defense against Russia. Don't laugh, man. You know how many U.S. troops we put on that border? It's a lot of U.S. troops over there.
Well, I mean, that'll probably likely change the moment that the president changes. So we'll see how that goes.
I gotta tell you, what will change is the number, and that number will go up, I believe. But
we'll see. But you know, I don't know. What else could I talk about that's interesting? I mean, we had.
You don't have to talk about that. We can get into the show.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Fine.
I mean, the
Let's do
other
that
thing I
then.
have to say is we're all keenly interested in the future of Poland, because without Poland, we wouldn't get The Witcher 4. Witcher 4, no more Witcher.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's an interesting.
Witcher
way
4, A
of
New
thinking about
Hope. You play Ciri,
What?
Witchering.
I'm pretty sure that the author of the story goes, the author of the Witcher series, I can't remember his fucking name because it's Polish and it's really
Yeah,
long.
Andrzej.
Yeah. So he hated, like, he gave away the rights to the
Right,
game
to the games, and he
Witcher,
hates them. Yeah, and it makes a ton of money for him.
He hates them. So they've managed to renegotiate the contract. So CD Projekt Red can make further games in the Witcher series now, with the author being a part of it rather than excluded from it, so that, you know, he can.
I mean, if he
can
didn't want to be
finally stop
excluded,
doing
he
it.
shouldn't have excluded himself.
Yeah,
Well, you
it's
gotta
like the weird-
remember, like,
It was like, I don't think these games are going to go really good. Pay me 10 cents and you can have all the rights to them you want. That
it was less about, you got to remember, like, CD Projekt Red was non-existent, and the gaming scene in Poland was non-existent until basically the heyday of Witcher 2 came around.
Sure.
Witcher 1 was, you know, over
Is
budget.
still terrible.
No, I refuse. Anyone who says that clearly didn't enjoy,
You're right. I didn't
Video
enjoy
games.
Witcher 1. Yeah. Or 2.
clearly doesn't enjoy video games, because Witcher 1 was fantastic. The gambling mechanics in Witcher 1,
Uh-huh.
fucking magnifique. You
The
know,
combat seemed iffy in Witcher Run, but
I have a hard time convincing me that
let's be real
Gwent
here.
isn't the
The
best
combat
card
in
game.
every single game is iffy. Every single game has
What?
terrible combat.
3 was great.
No,
Yes.
I haven't
dude,
played any of
absolutely
them.
not.
I've been meaning to, but I haven't played any of them yet.
Every single piece of combat in Witcher was fucking awful.
Witcher 3, with the mechanics to learn what you're about to fight, prepare your mutagens and
the
your
prep
bombs.
stuff absolutely was
Yeah.
really well thought out, but the actual sword play, garbage. Everything about it was absolute garbage.
We disagree on that.
The idea that you have that, like, there's the you know, when you start an animation in video games, that there are games that rely, like, project that, like, for example, the Dark Souls series, when you start an animation you sort of stuck into it. The Monster Hunter series also does it really well, where you start an animation and then you kind of have to, like, the whole point of the game is timing the animation to hit the opponent correctly. With Witcher, it was pretty much like the most annoying thing in that entire game, and it complicated every single game except for the first one for whatever reason. Geralt would have momentum attached to literally everything he does. So you would move and you would let go of the keyboard or the button for control for moving forward, and then Geralt would take another 3 steps instead of stopping, like, where he needs to stop. And that was because just the way that the locomotion worked in the game. So the entire combat of the game was tied into this locomotion system, which in a lot of cases meant that when he starts doing his big aerobatic swings and stuff like that, it, like, you never had complete control over Geralt. So anyone who says that they really enjoyed the combat obviously just has terrible taste in video games. I'm sorry. that's how, I mean,
That hurts. That's what you're saying about me. Look,
they literally had to do
old.
they literally had to do several humongous patches that changed fundamental things about
I don't
the
know anything
locomotion
about
system in
that.
game.
I bought the game when all the expansion packs were out, so.
You reminded me, Dave, that recently I tried playing Mortal Kombat 11, and I played through the tutorial mode of that, where it actually goes down to a tutorial about how different moves have, like, a different amount of animation time before the hit is landed versus how much animation has to play out after the hit is landed versus whether or not that move can be interrupted if you're hit before the animation's played out. And like down to, like, the milliseconds, like it's saying, oh, if your opponent throws an attack which lands after 0.8 milliseconds, try and throw an attack which lands after 0.6 to interrupt them. And I'm thinking, like, the hardcore competition fight, like, you know, side-scrolling fight gamers must actually really focus on, you know, this level of the moves, like where in the animation do I actually strike to actually interrupt or that sort of thing. Yeah, I found the mechanics of it, like the fact that they exposed it in the tutorial, I found really odd.
When you build the entire game around that mechanic, though, it's great. But everything in the world just didn't connect with that locomotion system in Witcher, and that's partly like the world building, the way it looked, everything was fucking perfect outside of the combat. The combat sucked poo poo. It was so bad. It was really bad. I'm sorry. Anyway, sorry.
Listen. Do you know about the Daigo parry, James?
No.
All right, so this is Street Fighter in 2004. Daigo versus Justin Wong. All right. This guy is about to eat Chun-Li's ultimate attack, which is like 15 consecutive hits. All right. He has the smallest health bar possible. If he takes any one of these hits, he's done and he loses the tournament. All right. He managed to block all 15 hits for the first and possibly only time in tournament history with a perfect counter, and then ended with them. They were all parries because sorry, I said counter, but what I really meant was parry, because if you counter, you still lose health, which means you would have lost. He managed to parry every single hit and then end on a counter and win. It was incredible. You should go watch it. It is like they were like, you can't repeat this moment. It's literally insanely hard to time 15 perfect parries. Good stuff.
Let's make this democratic. Arthur didn't like Witcher 1. I didn't like Witcher 1. Pono hasn't played it, so he abstains. Dave likes Witcher 1. Dave loses 2-1.
Listen.
Witcher 1, no good.
Wow.
Yeah,
look,
but I live in Poland, so my vote counts for like 3.
Got you there.
This isn't how well, we're not voting on anything though. We're not like we're gonna ban Witcher 1 from the stream. I'm never gonna play it anyway. Okay, we ready to get started?
Yep.
All right, there's plenty of stuff to do. I remember we're deep into some hijinks. James, tell us what we were doing and what we're gonna do.
Last time on Rogue Trader, the Last Scion, we saw the senior crew interrogate Overseer Lyris over to what actually happened aboard the Eternal Praetorian. We see a bunch of stuff being taken from the hold in the rear of the ship, including an unusual metal sphere. Pierre is informed by the Master of Whispers that the explosion aboard the gunnery deck may have been deliberately created. The group works with Inquisitor Shrain to open the sphere using the key taken from the dead Eldar, and discovers it forms some sort of astrological map. And finally, the Hand of Calixis finally translates into the Solitude system and begins making its way towards Solitude Station, where the uprising is occurring. Thought for the day is, even a man who has nothing can still offer his life. So I believe when we left off, you had organized to take the lay priest of the miners, Dalia Mahalko, aside. Her wounds had been tended, and the idea was to interview her over what was going on regarding the uprising on the Minehead. Yes? Anyone got anything else?
So we were moving her to a private room to do this, and we called the captain down. I think one thing you forgot to mention during your intro, James, isn't just that it's believed that the explosion on the ship was intentional, but that you put the blame on Nero as a top candidate. Let's not forget that particular notion. That you placed.
It was the Master of Whispers who I didn't create that character.
Yes, but you are the voice of that character. Let me ask you a question. I'll buy this dodge if you tell me you went to the person who created it and asked them what their reaction would be with the information they had.
I just played the character they created.
Oh, okay, James.
Haven't you ever seen interviews with like writers that say like, oh, I didn't want to kill this character, but it was like in their character. I was so sad when I killed this character. It's like, well, then don't kill them. But they couldn't, because that's what the character would have done.
Arthur, can you get back on script, please? I mean, it's really
the script starts with Nero placing a plastic vitamin water, or whatever the imperial equivalent of it, on the table of what looks to be a standard interrogation room. Metal table, 2 steel chairs, one-way mirror, camera in the corner. Sorry, what do we call it around here? A pict thief. And he unscrews the top and passes it over to Miss Dalia Malenko, and then he moves over to the corner and knocks on the mirror. that the Lord Captain knows that it's okay to come into the room. So Nero is now folding his arms. He's reading a file on Lord Canicus Cromwell. And in his eyes, we can see that much like he's previously intimated to people, he's searching Canicus Cromwell's body for the most optimal penetration point for a heavy bolter around. You know, what he might incline himself to believe is the most killable part of the body. But he keeps the gun barrel with the omniscope on Miss Dahlia, just in case she tries anything. I assume that Dawn and then Pierre enter the room.
So Pondo, could I encourage you when you have a chance to join the Roll20 side as well?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Roll dice.
Thought I was in there.
Did you actually care, Arthur, about Cromwell's file? Like, did you actually want to read anything about him?
Very much so. The administrator of Solitude Station, who might be suppressing worship of the Emperor on his station? Oh yes, I want to know everything about him. Listen, so, you might not know this, James, but my job on this ship is to analyze all security threats.
So Cromwell comes from a noble family on Malfi. As you may recall, the Cowles line has a noble station on Scintilla, and Scintilla and Malfi are traditionally opposed. No, I mean that they're obviously on the same side, but they like two cities that vie over control of the region as such. Everyone on Scintilla hates everyone from Malfi and vice versa.
Yeah.
So the decision of Angelique Cowles to appoint Cromwell was largely a political one. He has an influential family on Malfi. It shows that although she comes from a Scintillan family line, that she's willing to, put the Imperium before family and appoint somebody from an opposing side into this role. So he is your classic administratum noble. He was born in nobility. He was appointed to a managerial role as his very first job, and effectively has risen through the ranks through his own skill, or whatever that case may be, and was given
so look,
by his family.
When he gets his job, is it because he's good at managing, or is it because his dad is head of the company?
Pretty much, it's more the latter. The latter is that he was good enough at managing for what this required, but it was politically expedient to put him in here, and it told a story more than anything else.
All right, and then
wasn't there also a dude that we were planning on putting in his spot at the end?
Yes, it's your guy. It's the guy that you just burned. Lyris. I mean, out of character, I think that's a terrible idea. I think that Lyris will betray us at the first possible instance.
He's 100%.
He's a liar.
He should have died.
And we set him on fire. He's a liar, and his pants were also on fire. However, Nero believes in the power of the Emperor, and Nero believes that Dawn believes she has cleansed him, and so Nero believes that he might make a good. Now, James, I just want to jump back to the difference between Malfia and Scintilla. This is something like what West Coasters would call the difference between Tulsa and Seattle.
Okay, thank you for
if home. New York and Princeton.
If you're in the UK, it's Essex versus Sussex. If you're in Australia,
there you go.
Melbourne versus Sydney. So
Ireland versus any other part of Ireland.
or Melbourne versus another part of Melbourne.
Yeah. So just to be clear, every administration person for a colony has a trait, and Cromwell's trait in this case is vainglorious.
Right, he's bad.
That's Lyris's trait is corrupt.
Fantastic. You rolled that up since last week, huh?
Yes.
Corrupt. Great. I'm just gonna write here Lyris corrupt murder. We're just gonna leave that last one as a descriptor. I'm not going to tell you what it's describing. We'll leave it vague.
Okay.
All right. Scene. Nero in a corner, smiling slightly while reading Cromwell's file. Dawn and Pierre enter to talk to Dahlia.
Okay. And she does, she sits quietly and respectfully and drinks the drink she's been provided. When you come in, she actually tied to the chair / handcuffed to the desk?
Just to be clear, for once, Nero is not physically holding his heavy bolter, but he still has the you know, the gun sight of his shoulder mounted. So he will shoot her if she does anything he doesn't like, but
yeah, it's more a case of she does her best to bow when the road trader comes in to acknowledge. Yeah. Lord Captain.
Yes, I've been hearing some issues with faith. Am I here? It's my understanding, or please enlighten me.
That's very well. So, do you sit down, or you stand and talk to her, or?
He probably sits down.
Okay. You have to understand, Lord Captain, that all of us here, we all chose to come here. We're not slaves or serfs. We're pilgrims. I myself was a lay priest on Veneris, and when we heard about the expanse opening up, several of us, or many people, chose to head to Port Wanda with a view to being those that carried the Emperor's torch into a new realm of space. We knew it would be hard. You know, we knew that colonism, or being a colonist, was not an easy role, but we were prepared to put ourselves on the line for the glory of the Imperium. There were certainly those that among the colonists that when we were assigned to this system that were worried that, you know, a mining station would be largely backbreaking labor, but of course, you know, the hands that toil for the Emperor's work don't toil in vain. So people like myself did what we could to try and keep the faith among the people that this work was true and honest work. The problem started when there was some of the materials we mine here are radioactive, and there has been certainly cases of physical mutation that had been controlled and quelled, thankfully, by the armed forces and by the other miners in some cases. But many people would try to seek out the solace of the church in order to protect themselves through prayer to the God Emperor. The problem was that the administrator, he didn't allow us time to properly to have time to pray and to abase ourselves at the temples. In fact, he replaced the temples with edifices that largely venerated your late mother. I'm sorry about that as well, and himself. It felt like the light of the Emperor barely reached us out here, and that caused problems within the communities of the miners. There were some who said that we were being treated like slaves despite being colonists. And when we tried to raise these concerns, we were met with a halving of our food rations and told to get back to work. That just led to more rebellion, and eventually Cromwell basically deployed what troops he had to try and cull the number of miners down to make an example. The issue was that Tortoise, one of the mine leaders, managed to gain a following, and he was able to repel Cromwell's forces. The issue since then is that we've been at stalemate now for months. That we, like myself and the other miners who were not on shift, have been kept here as prisoners. We've heard that some of Tortoise's minions have actually, well, when they couldn't find solace in the Emperor, they found their faith in other places, in dark places. And we've heard that, the gods of the warp hold some sway over some of the miners now. So there are the miners that serve Tortoise and who have committed themselves to dark powers. There are the miners still on the minehead which fight against Tortoise and his followers because they are still true worshippers of the Emperor, but they're unarmed, undersupplied. They don't have enough food there. And there are those of us here that are trapped as prisoners for simply wanting to live and worship as the colonists that we are. I don't mean to cast disrespect on anybody, but your administrator has allowed a chaos cult to fester under his watch.
Yes, that sounds very problematic.
To whom is it dedicated?
The chaos gods.
Not any particular one.
I don't. Are there particular ones? I just thought they were like the chaos gods.
Good.
Yes, you are correct. As Pierre just tells Nero to shh.
I feel like that was a legitimate question. Come on, Pondo. If we walk in there and it's like, oh man, Slaanesh is going to be very different than, you know, the Lord of Brass, okay?
It's a legitimate question, but they're learning more than they should.
Well, I don't know how much they know.
Do you perhaps know who might be leading the ones that are the miners that are, I want to say, unaligned?
The those that are still loyal, you mean?
Yes.
I don't know. I didn't have any communication with any leader. This was the problem, is that Tortoise was a charismatic leader. It's how he swung people to his side. I don't know that there is necessarily, you know, a uniting force other than the fact that the rest of the miners recognize that to join him in his depravity would doom their souls.
They're wise to do so.
Do you have any information about perhaps where they meet on the regular? It might be worthwhile just, well, removing all of the burnt flesh, as it were.
So we had heard that Tortoise had taken his followers deep into the minehead, basically at the front of the mining area where the materials are being extracted, especially the radioactive materials. He deliberately exposes his followers to the corruption of these metals.
He sounds like he has lost the plot, as it were. I mean, one wouldn't willingly put themselves in danger like that unless there was a good reason. And I doubt he has one.
If I can suggest, I would suspect that he leads his followers in the belief that the powers they gain will allow them to overcome their oppressors and escape this place.
That is lunacy. Absolute lunacy. What do we know about these materials? Are they flammable? Are they combustible? Can we use them against them?
I'm not a geologist. There would be scientists on board the station that would know more about what's extracted. We've certainly never had concerns about the use of promethium or explosives in the mining, so I would assume that they're not inherently explosive in their raw form.
Talk to me about what if we shot the mine head from space? I mean, obviously it's in space, but what if we space bombarded it? Are we going to catch any innocents in this? Can we destroy Tortoise and all of his corrupted followers, or?
So it's out of character for a second. Just to explain what the minehead is. So the minehead is effectively a deployable station which can attach to a large asteroid.
Correct.
It includes a void shield generator, which allows it to maintain an atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So the air inside in the space around the atmosphere, the asteroid is breathable. So, for example, the void shield would provide some protection from bombardment, but a sustained bombardment would overcome the shield.
Okay.
Once the shield's overcome, it would lose all oxygen on the minehead, and you would kill everybody on the asteroid.
Right. My problem, well, their problem is the minehead filled only with Tortoise's evil followers, or is this guy who's trying to resist them, is he also in that
No,
situation?
they're all there. They're all still. They're all trapped there on the mine because of the
including
stalemate
the independent faction who are
Yes.
fighting for. Okay, all
Yep.
right. What is your estimate of Tortoise's numbers?
He would probably have less than 1,000.
Really? I mean, aren't there hundreds of thousands of workers out here?
There's around there's 100,000 total workers.
Yep.
About half of which are on Solitude Station right now in prison.
Right.
The other half are on. So he would be opposed by over 40,000. Although I don't know how many have been killed so far in the existing fighting. You have to understand though that Tortoise's people the warp has affected them.
Right. They have unnatural
no longer-
powers. I understand. Let's skip to the next part. Are they physically in the mine head, or are they inside of the asteroid?
The mines extend into the asteroid, but not very far. Like they've
All
been
right. So
mining this place
let
for
me
years.
run this plan by you. Again, you have more mining experience than me. We detach the mine head with all of the, let's call them pious, friendly, faithful miners inside, and explosively decompress all of Tortoise's bad, ugly people into space. This plan will work, yes or no, in your opinion?
You'd have to get some of the mine, like you can't fit all the miners into the mine head itself. You would have to actually
Correct.
extract some of them first by shuttle.
Perfectly reasonable.
Yes.
I want to expose people to minimum possible risk while also killing all of Tortoise's men. I especially like venting people into space. It's clean. It's easy. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be discussing my work with you like this. I just like meetings. Lord Captain, that's my security recommendation for one part of the solution to the problems in this system, is to begin a ferry evacuation of the minehead while establishing a beachhead with your armed forces and removing the minehead from the asteroid, leaving all those evil bad men to die in space, which you might know is one of my favorite ways to kill people, because we've done it before, like several times.
Yes.
We almost did it to Lyris.
Yes. The issue is hoping that none of the ones that we want to kill don't sneak out with the rest of the ones that we do want to kill.
I assume, Lord Captain, that the good, faithful, stout miners are keeping track of who is and isn't chaosy. Some other notifications might be asking our Inquisitor friend to inspect their souls via some hard interrogation. Sister Dawn, I assume, as a medical practitioner and flame specialist, may be able to check everyone individually for mutations. Perhaps the tech adepts can scan people for radiation. I assume that this is something that one could do.
If there's radiated materials on that planet, I assume that all of them will have some form of radiation to them.
Sure, but my assumption, Lord Captain, is that the bad evil men will have higher forms of radioactive signature than the not bad evil men who have not touched the evil bad crystals worshipped by the evil bad gods.
Fair enough.
I'm new to this. I feel like we could definitely save ourselves a lot of time. You know, we don't have to go in there and kill all 1,000 of Tortoise's men.
Jesus.
Was I invisible?
Yes, you're off camera, Cotton, but you can't hear that.
Yeah.
Perhaps
Sorry.
sign of good faith might allow those who have questioned their choices to come back to believing in the true God, the Lord Emperor. perhaps killing them all might not be the way to go forward.
Wow.
I think that when it comes to those that have chosen to follow Tortoise, like there will be those among the loyalists who are still despondent with the current situation, who would still not simply turn their task back to the tools without some ramifications on the part of the administrator. But those that have actively joined Tortoise's group, I think have deliberately exposed themselves to the corruption of the warp. I don't know whether there could be any redemption.
James, just out of character, real quick, is that like a, now you're a vampire, congratulations, sort of thing, or like how does that work?
So effectively, it's come down to mutation. So there's two types of mutants. There's people that have been exposed to things like radioactivity as such, and have gotten harmful mutations as such, like hunchbacks or other grotesqueries. And there are the people who have actually been twisted by the warp. Been given things like wings or claws or ability to breathe fire, whatever it is, because of the warp. So the idea here is that normally people don't simply choose to follow chaos, and because if you look at the 4 chaos gods, only one of them really has a pitch that goes down really well with most people, which is Slanesh, because it's all about pleasure. But for the others, Khorne tells you that you can be a stronger warrior, that you can defeat your enemies no matter what they throw at you. Nurgle tells you that you can live forever, well, at least be never dying. And Siege is all about the promise of secrets and control over fate. But once again, the average Imperial citizen doesn't hear that thing and think, oh, that sounds like a good deal. I'll be on board with that. It's much more subtle normally. So what is effectively happening here is that Tortoise has effectively formed a group that we are going to take this fight to the administrator. We're going to take control of this facility, and he brings them back to his lair, where they are then exposed to the inherent corruption of the warp. Maybe he has found a way to actually make an altar or something to one of the chaos gods. And these people, once they're exposed to the warp, they're corrupted by it. It eats into their soul as such. So there will be certainly people.
There's no coming back from that at all.
No, there will be people that you could consider the idea of not working, because at the end of the day, the Emperor wants people to be productive. So the idea of not working in the mine when you're being told to could be considered heresy. And so therefore the people, even the remaining sort of 45,000 people that are still alive that are not joined Tortoise's crew are heretics, so to speak. But that's from a perspective. You can change that perspective. Once they've been actually influenced by the warp and they've been modified by it, the idea of coming back from that is, well, not impossible. For the average citizen, that sort of work would never actually happen. Once you've gotten corruption points. Yeah, that's only really sort of like key. I mean, Inquisitors get exposed to corruption. You'll get exposed to corruption, and there'll be ways you can bring yourself back from that. But for the average Imperial citizen, even 1 point of corruption is enough to damn their souls forever.
What's weird to me in Warhammer 40K is that demons can show up and just be like, corruption! But you never get one of the Emperor's servants being like, all right, now that I'm here, all of you calm down. You demons, you convert back to the Emperor's side. All right? You're loyal now. Like that, you can only be corrupted. You can't be in law end.
It is. It's called being killed and purged.
Okay, well, that... I don't know how to respond to that.
Well,
I feel like that a lot of that's actually probably going to happen, because they're now starting to introduce the Emperor more recently. But that's a much future case in this sort of timeline.
I mean, think about the Inquisition as being like the witchcraft trials in the Middle Ages. The whole idea about if we drown them and they die, then they were okay. If they survive, they must be because they're a witch, in which case we should burn them. Like that sort of twisted logic is the same sort of stuff that gets used in the Imperium.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's some Matthew Hopkins shit. Google that if you don't know who that is.
That part right there is probably the part that I struggle the most with when it comes to this game. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, The Lord Captain is the law in this region, so he could determine, like a particularly puritanical captain might say, the fact these people put their tools down in the first place means wipe them all out, and that would be legal and permissible. It would colour the way that people see and choose to work with him in the future, potentially. Whereas a more central line rogue trader might be sort of, okay, I want to save as many people as possible.
Mhm.
A radical rogue trader might be along the lines of, oh well, there's all these really strong mutants here. Let's recruit them to my cause. They can be a shock attack force for me. Probably, we don't want to go that far, but I mean,
Tempting.
Listen,
no.
listen. Pondo is complete. I can't predict his actions. He does some weird shit. My
what you're
plan is to
talking
kill
about.
them all.
You know how that works out, Arthur.
It's worked out pretty well so far, actually.
I tend to do the actions where the monies are, as much as I possibly
Hey,
can.
look, my plan saves maximum amount of miners and the mining facility without blowing up anything useful.
Yes. I think what we need to do is essentially see how much of the armsmen they have on our side, essentially. And then do your setup, set up like a beachhead, set up a designated evacuation zone, set up like a beachhead sort of area. Essentially, if the miners come after us, they come after us. If they don't, oh well, and then we can just blow them up, essentially. I imagine we're going to be losing some profit off of it, but
I mean, we currently have 0 profit, so can't lose what you don't have.
I feel like you can go to negative profit, but I'm guessing there's other asteroids besides the ones they're on that it can be mined.
I mean, look, the productivity of this system is 5, so you could lose 1 or 2 points and still come out ahead because your current is 0. So in that regards, James, I want to ask, so this is a chain reaction from this guy lowering piety to 0, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so how many points of order did the colony lose? 1 or more?
Let me just double check.
Because corrupt means you lose a point of order. So if we remove this guy and put another person in that still lowers the order to 0, we've gained nothing.
Okay, when you lose piety,
you lose 1d5.
Okay, order of places you each lose by 1d5. Yeah, so I believe that it's because it's a mine. It's a what do you call it? I was going to see what the base thing for a mine is, or for a
Okay, because
So
this
you-
is like
you're
a super
definitely thinking on the right
productive
lines.
mine too. Like it gets a bonus for how productive.
Well, that's
it
because
is.
I mean, Vainglorious gives a production bonus. So you take him away, you will lose 1 point of that production
Sure,
bonus.
but given its size, it
Yeah,
still
that's
has a higher productivity than its size, so it'll qualify for the
for the
productive bonus.
productive bonus.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, so this is mining industry. So starting order is currently starting is 1.
Okay,
so you would need to.
yeah, if we
Yeah.
remove him and replace him with Lyris, it's still gonna suck.
Yeah, the only other option would be to build a facility which improves piety or order.
All right, I feel like maybe the 3 of us have that conversation on the way to the shuttle bay.
Yeah.
So James, let me ask, how close can we get the ship to the asteroid and the minehead?
So you mean the Hand of Calixis, the whole ship?
Yes, the whole ship.
Effectively in orbit, or like a station keeping orbit of it, effectively.
Yeah. So what's the transit time for? I get in a shuttle and I go down there.
Oh, it would be less than an hour.
Okay,
the
so
ship.
we could start a Congo line of shuttles taking armsmen and our new temporary Casbalica friends down and bringing back miners.
Yes.
Or shipping the miners back to Solitude Station.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's have this conversation somewhere then.
Okay. Yes.
Over a bottle of wine. So I think there must be some sort of briefing room adjacent to the shuttle bay cargo hold area. At the very least, like a close-in meeting room where someone could get off of a shuttle and then have a meeting with somebody. Not
Yes.
everyone wants to climb all the way up to the bridge.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so Nero's popping over a bottle of Renka and pouring it for everybody and goes, all right, well, We have two problems, Lord Captain, as I'm sure you know. The first is that Cromwell is clearly, you know, he's a problem. And there's no fixing that problem except by removing him from his post, would be my professional opinion. He is removing the light of the God Emperor. He is corrupting the worship here. And he is holding innocent people as slaves. I mean, look what he did to this holy woman that you just walked away from. When Sister Dawn found her, she was covered in horrifying scars, and I believe she had lost an eye. Skull was fractured. The things that this man is doing are not great. And he is imprisoning, essentially, all of the workers who want to work but can't. I'm going to suggest something really crazy. We split the party.
Okay, I'll stay in the ship and be safe, and you guys can go down and be all right.
No, what I thought you might want to go deal with Cromwell and handle the, what shall we call this? Administrative shift, change in leadership, new management. You know, temporarily take command of the situation while you seek a new, you know, maybe you have to call somebody in. God damn it, I forgot. I actually believe in that. You know, Lyris could technically run this colony, technically, if you didn't have literally anyone else that would be even slightly better. I mean, we already know that he's done some bad stuff, but he did walk through the flames, and Sister Dawn confirmed he was purified. I think you and Sister Dawn could handle that situation pretty well, and I could take me and the boys over. We'd go down on the shuttles. The shuttles would go like this. We'd leave Hand of Calixis with you know, filled with armsmen and the Casbolica. We land, we create a beachhead, we take everybody off of the planet on the shuttles, we take them to Solitude Station, the shuttles keep going back and forth.
Let's knock on the door.
Yes. Oh, who are you? Opening the door. What do you want?
All right. There's a young man there, like probably say 16, 17 years old, just wearing sort of like a uniform. Looks like some sort of staff uniform.
Yes.
Lord Captain, the administrator has been waiting for you to go and see him aboard the. He's in the command deck. It's been an hour since you arrived.
Oh, he's here. Yes.
Okay.
I forgot we sent for him. I really didn't care.
Wow. Okay. Maybe you don't need to go over this. Well,
I still need to go over there, but this makes my job much easier.
You're on the station, aren't you? This is all happening on the station because you could bring all the.
I guess so. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that we brought the top 1% of prisoners over to the ship. No, if we're on the station, then that makes us totally different.
Okay.
So I guess Nero's plan now is to get on the shuttle, head back to the Hand of Calixis, and then move the Hand of Calixis into orbit to begin the ferry plan. Right? Are we good with this?
Yes. That sounds good to me.
So, Dawn,
I'm going to end up shooting this guy anyway.
are you coming with me to what could be Murderfest 2020, or would you like to handle the spiritual faith of the people and maybe assist the Lord Captain? You know, there's a station full of people who want to worship and they can't. I don't know whether you want to come with me and maybe set some people on fire. I don't want to speak for your character, you know? You have some premium choices here. Fire, worship. For you, maybe they're one and the same.
I feel like right now, Nero, there is a big question mark literally over your head specifically about where
Nero looks up.
Your faith is going to be going.
Oh, you meant metaphorically. I understand.
Yes.
All right. Well, I would point out that
that
currently my plan is to kill a bunch of heretical mutants. So I don't know what part of that would concern you. Where I come from, it's a little place called Cadia. Killing heretical mutants is kind of a thing we do. It's mostly like 99% of our time in between Black Crusades and shit.
I will go with the Lord Captain if you can promise me one thing.
I mean, make your bargain.
I would like for you to limit how effective you can be in combat.
All right, this looks like you're coming with me. Nero just waves an arm. It gets on a shuttle.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll deal with the Lord Captain then first.
Yep. Yeah.
So this young man walks you up through the station, and the station itself is obviously because they pretty much suppress most of the lower caste people as such. So even things like not administrative staff, like janitorial staff, for example, have been cooped up with the miners as well. So the place has sort of gone a little bit to disrepair. There are tech priests still working on repairing some things, but it's just messy and not in an orderly state. But once you get up into like the command decks of this station, it's a lot better. In fact, it is almost hospital clean, meticulous. There are it's actually like more decorated than you're used to it being in like a space station. Like there's actually art hung on the walls, for example, in the command deck. So it's almost being converted into more like a noble house than what you're used to with a space station. The walls have been painted a nice color, nice shade of white, for example, with gilt edging along the bulkhead walls.
Can we say it's interactive?
So
cream?
I'm seeing this man's been wasting my money and time by fancying up his own place, not working on my station. Got it.
Yep. And what there is though is you probably didn't see this. So growing up as a kid in Australia, it was common to have a picture of the Queen in like the school, assembly hall, for example.
Yeah.
Likewise, there is portraiture of your mother hung up in any sort of major room as well. Although in some cases they've been taken down as they're put to one side. Then there's a spot there waiting for a new portrait, for example.
Is there a guy like trailing me trying to have a floating easel on a servitor while trying to paint? Like, gone?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
But when you actually enter like the command section, everyone sort of stands to attention. You can see Cromwell. Cromwell is pretty obvious. He is dressed as a noble, so he is a large man, probably in his late 50s. So he's overweight without actually being obese, but he is certainly well fed anyway. He has got his skin's paled from years spent in space, but he obviously has had time on planet before. He's not like a true void born. He has he keeps a beard. He probably was redheaded at one point before it's faded to grey. You can sort of see like wisps of red in his beard still, wearing like a burgundy coloured suit. Once again, well lined, well tailored, and lots of sort of like medals as well. They're not medals from any sort of campaigns you recognise, or even they don't seem to align with any service, like whether it's guard or.
He made
Navy,
his own
Yeah. Listen, we do this here in America. We have sheriffs who do this shit.
That's it. And there is actually a person sitting to one side with like an easel, yes, who is like waiting, and you guess it's not so much that they get a portrait of you, it's to get a portrait of you meeting Cromwell for the first time.
Oh my god!
Like,
you know what? The portrait should be Pierre. Quick drawing. He had like the bolt is leaving the plasma pistol, but it hasn't reached Cromwell yet. That should be the moment he captures on the easel.
Cromwell's hand is outstanded like this, ready to shake, and there's a bullet flying towards his head.
Listen.
That's what the bolt cane is for shooting these guys.
This is canon. Do you have the bolt cane?
Yes.
He does.
Perfect.
Yeah, you got it.
Excellent. I'll remind you, it's only one shot.
Yes.
So he like waves his arms out with a shallow bow. Lord Captain, you honour us with your presence. Welcome to Solitude Station. It is our great privilege to accept another member of the Cowles lineage into august halls. Please, can I get you some ice water maybe a meal.
No, I'd rather get straight down to business as I see the calamity that you have ran this station to.
He recoils as though struck. It's
The painter's like, oh yeah, that's a good response.
I assure you, Lord Captain, that we have done everything we can to suppress this uprising. It is the situation is difficult given the separation of the station from the minehead. But with your assistance, with the forces you have brought, we will put this rebellion to rest. For sure.
The situation I see has been brought upon by not necessarily, how should I say this? I see the reason why these events have happened, and I do have them all linked back to you. You have been mishandling these colonists and workers of the mines, forcing them to go into essentially situations that could turn them heretical in nature.
Perhaps we should talk in my private office.
No, this right here is fine. You don't mind, do
adjusts
you?
his collar slightly.
There's also been
someone check the environmental system. It's a bit hot in here.
Yeah. I've also heard that you have been leaving a cult of heretical worshippers in my station.
I can assure you, this station has nothing of the sort. If the miners have based themselves before some false deity, then that's a matter that was easily dealt with by bolt or by flame. But
then why hasn't that been done?
Well, as I was saying to you before, we have been unable to gain control of the minehead with the forces that we have. It's been mostly our efforts to keep the rabble here under control, and they do outnumber us 100 to 1.
Are you lying to me?
No.
Have you not known that there's a cult of worships of chaos in my station? Have you not been working with the lady who is supposed to be the essential liaison to you and the miners?
You mean, but Moana Mahalko? I mean, I had one of my gendarmes interrogate her, and she made some spurious claims about chaos gods. But I mean, this is just because somebody cries chaos doesn't mean that this is. I mean, if we're going to destroy the miners anyway, then what does it matter whether some of them have fallen or not? I mean, this is they're all guilty of the heresy most foul against the throne of terror.
I think at this point, Pierre just aims his bolt cane at his leg, as knee, and shoots the trigger.
The knee? No. Now my knee hurts. Oh, you're terrible. You can't go for center mass? Oh, Jesus.
No, I have to demoralize this guy first. Then I shoot him in the face.
I mean, I want to just quickly clarify that a bolter fires,
Yes, his leg will be pretty much gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Let's make a damage roll for your bolter cane.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's a mass reactive explosive
I don't
shell.
doubt that you know what you're
Liquid
doing.
magma.
I'm just concerned
damage.
that you're doing it.
12.
12. Okay. All right. So he gets his toughness bonus off that. All right. So it takes him to -1 explosive in the leg.
It explodes, killing everyone in the area, showering them with gore. Then they also explode. I know how this game works.
The only person to survive is the painter because he was behind the canvas.
It's a special titanium canvas too, so it's...
Okay. Explosive leg -1.
I imagine it's what happens when we get shot in the leg with a 50 cal, but worse.
Okay. So it doesn't take his leg off completely. Like he's thrown to the ground. It's like its leg is a mess though, and he's taking critical damage. In fact, he will probably need to make a toughness test or pass out from that.
Oh, I hope he makes the test.
I have so many more questions for you.
He succeeds, but he is now screaming on the ground, like he is calling for. He's yelling for help, for a medic. Screaming in agony.
At this point, you are relieved of duty as you are sheerly incompetent as to leave the station into such a state that it is, and to have treat my citizens the way they have. May the Emperor have mercy on your soul, because I will not. I'll just take out my Ecotech last pistol and shoot him in the head, finish him off.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the moment I need the painter to capture.
I feel like he's been redoing this canvas so many times as the scene changes.
It's got like a flip book now of like what's happened. So.
He decided to go a stick figure. Quicker.
I'll fill it in later. I'll fill it in later. Don't worry about it.
After Cromwell goes limp, there's like a moment of silence before like one of the staff is like, "The Lord Captain has the con."
Now,
get back to work.
Yes, get back to work. I'll be working on arrangements to getting you a new competent leader, colony manager. Anybody have any questions?
There's like some shaking of their heads. Although you're not, I mean, other than managing the station's operations, they don't really have a lot of stuff to do while the mine is not in operation. Like most of what their job is regarding managing the mine stuff. So, but they attempt to find busy work.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'll get to working on getting
all the portraits in the hallways.
I need someone to. If someone could send someone to clean this mess up.
Replace all the interactive cream paint with polar bear white.
All right, they start to deal with that. I'll come back to you. So the other two, take the Hand of Calixis over to the minehead and then fly the shuttle down.
All right, listen, James.
Yep.
Let me be perfectly clear. I'll be talking to you in and out of character. In character, I'll be speaking with some tech adepts.
Okay.
All right, so I want you to imagine we've got all of our shuttles. They're bringing over the 24 Kazbalika mercenaries with their better than normal gear. As many armsmen as we can cram on this thing. Our plan is to land at the minehead, order people to get on, evacuate them back to the station, have the station bring their... I assume the station has some way of getting shuttles out here as well. You know what I mean? Like, how do these people get to work? All right, so we're going to start a whole chain of people going in both directions. But I'm going to talk to these tech adepts and say, now look, I don't know if you're the same people we brought onto the Eternal Praetorium or whatever it was called, but a human being, mutant, managed to sneak up on a whole bunch of tech adepts when we had the entire ship under sensor baffling. So I want to be really clear here. This is the plan going in, friends. We take the command center immediately. If we need to, we blast the minehead off into space safely. Any of the innocent miners that get caught up in that, get caught up in it. If we have to lose 20,000 innocents to kill 1,000 evil bad people, I call that a win. All right? So I want to be clear. Your job is to make sure that the minehead is capable of detaching and leaving. You're good?
Okay, one of the tech priests, like his mecha comes up like a hand raised behind his back.
Yes. There are no stupid questions.
Master of Ordnance,
Yes.
I have reviewed the specifications of this minehead.
Yeah.
Part of its deployment involves integration into the surrounding material.
Correct.
So stabilizing stanchions, parts of the initial mine facility.
Yep.
To extract the minehead would require a minimum of 6 hours work to avoid damage to the minehead upon extraction.
Understood. When we land, get to the command center and get started on all of that. Okay? Talk to me about emergency removal. What does that entail?
So we could get it off within an hour, but parts of the minehead would be left behind and need to be replaced.
That's no good. The Lord Captain likes his
damage.
minehead. He likes his minehead. Okay? All right. We're doing this the old school way then. We're going to take... Let me ask you, Tech Adept. I assume there's like a central corridor everyone has to go in and out to reach, right? Someplace we could bottleneck, set up a bunch of explosives and guys with guns. If the bad evil mutants come at us, we just blast them in a straight line where they have no cover. Something like this possible?
Yes, although it's a mine, so if they're down in the mine, then there'll always be twists and turns and parts of cover. But certainly, we can create a kill zone, a kill box.
Yep, good. All right, so that's your job, is to take Sister Dawn and I. Well, not your job. You find the least useful member or a servitor or something. You lead us there. All right, we're gonna take a whole bunch of people with guns and go there. My plan here is to avoid combat at all costs. I don't want any humans sneaking up on my door and kicking me in the face. I'm really tired of dying. Do you understand, Tech Adept? I'm really tired of dying.
The shuttle pilot says, Master of Ordnance,
Yes.
from what I understand, the last shuttles that went here were from the station, and they were repelled by the miners because they thought they were coming. Well, they
All
were
right,
going
open
to
a
attack
box to the people. Do that now.
them. Okay. So that he takes away. So nobody's picking up on the Vox, but I can tap into a loud hailer system on the station.
All right, do that.
You can address the people via loud
Yes.
hailer.
People of the station, this is the Lord Captain's personal representative. We are bringing shuttles over to restore order. If you fire on us, we will destroy you, the minehead, and the asteroid. We are bringing relief and replacement. All loyal Imperial citizens will be safely vacated to Solitude Station. All bad, non-loyal citizens will be destroyed.
Nailed
Fire on us, all of you will be considered bad non-loyalists. You understand? Don't fire on us. Hand of Calixis out.
Nero, I feel like your lessons in High Gothic have limited your vocabulary.
You may
some
not know
description.
this, Sister Dawn, but I am not well regarded at talking to people or at people. I'm more of an organizer and intimidation specialist. Most people do what I say or I kill them. And those two options work pretty well for me in most cases. Although, lately it has been somewhat restricting.
I just wish to point it out. That is all.
I understand. Look, I only know like several thousand words in High Gothic. Like, the bathroom is this way, which he says in High Gothic.
Well, actually, it's pronounced the bathroom is this direction. You just
Live
you're
your
mixing
side,
Low
live your
Gothic and
side.
High Gothic.
Look, I'm learning it from a book and from an old man. All right, it's difficult.
I understand.
Okay.
Just be aware that, if you speak in High Gothic and you mix in Low Gothic, you're only going to appear.
No,
like
I'm
an
only speaking
imbecile.
Low Gothic to people. But anyway, look, shuttle pilot, let me know if anybody locks onto us with any weapons or anything.
All right, they don't have any weapons, I believe, unless they could somehow tool with the void shields. But I don't see them having any weapons on that station. Anyway.
Okay, so how did those other shuttles get repelled? Like, they
Well,
landed
when they landed, they were attacked by hand weapons.
Perfect. All right. I'll send a Vox to all the other shuttles. If the doors open and we're attacked, their job is to just take off slightly, to like a height that they can't be hit by a hand weapon, and then just to clear the landing area in the most murderous way possible.
Okay. So as you overfly this asteroid, so just to be clear, so the minehead itself is like a mechanical facility installed on the outside of the mine, but because it creates an atmosphere around the asteroid as well, there are actually facilities on the asteroid's surface, like there is prefab accommodation blocks, there is equipment storage, there is actually like a landing platform.
All right, we'll be back for these later.
Definitely. Now, the one standout feature is this giant statue in the center. Now, this statue is clearly a statue of the God Emperor in his full power armor.
Okay, but you're about to tell me something not good.
And standing in front of the God Emperor, his hands on her shoulders is a smaller statue of Angelique Cowles.
Okay.
And then in front of the statue of her is a smaller statue, her hands on the shoulders of Cromwell, his arms out in a sort of, a benevolent stance, as though, providing, he is the path to which glory is provided through the God Emperor. And
I'm gonna vox back to the station.
Yep.
And try to get the Lord Captain on the hailer.
Okay.
I
all right,
really
so
hope the Lord Captain has shot this man in the leg.
So,
and
so,
then
so
in
you're
the head.
standing inside the comm center while someone's mopping the floor nearby. When someone says, "Lord Captain, there is a hail for you from one of the shuttles."
Send them in.
No, it's in a communication.
Yes. Patch him in.
Yes, put it through. There we go.
Don, I don't think he hit him in the leg. That's a very specific bet.
No, specifically in the leg and then once again in the head.
All
The
right.
Vox is live, sir.
Understood, Lord Captain. What is that blood everywhere?
Yes.
There's a large statue of Lord Cromwell, Lord Canicus Cromwell here. We're about to land and get started.
Off good, and then it got worse, and then it got even worse after that.
No, like the statue of Angelique Cowles is perfectly fine. I mean, she's a fantastic woman. It's well proportioned, accurate to real life. I don't mean to presume, Lord Captain, but have you done something with Lord Cromwell?
No, he's a little bit over there, a little bit over there.
I understand. Do you want us to blow up this evil Cromwell statue, or I assume they have some mining explosives here, or I would hate to accidentally damage the statue of the God Emperor or your mom in the process.
Yes, destroy the statue of him.
Yes.
Without damaging her or the God Emperor.
Understood. All right.
About how I shot him, I did shoot him in the leg and then the head after.
Incredible bet, Don. I would not have guessed that. I would go center of the body, really.
Well, I had to make him suffer before I finished him off.
Wow.
See,
I didn't understand how vicious you could be.
I mean, you'll never understand purging Nero if you simply body shot every time.
Look, I mean, my specific method of dispatching heretics is still to, if there is something left, it should be buried with reverence for the times that they were good and loyal.
No. You need to leave them time to repent.
He did not deserve an honorable or relatively painless death.
That's, of course, your decision, Lord Captain. Do you have any orders regarding what I assume will be some sort of fight with the Torsion miners, Tortoise's minions?
I'll send some more armsmen on the way to you as assistants.
Okay, but, sometimes you give me orders like don't murder them all, or it sounds like maybe now the orders might be leave them slightly alive to suffer. I just want to be clear as to what my...
No, purge the heretics as much as possible. Not the mutated ones, but the chaos worshipping ones.
You're sure we're not going to take care of the mutants?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I know that's very hard for you, Nero.
It's tough. I've been taught my entire life. You got to kill the mutants. I hang out with some from time to time. It's, I just always want to shoot them immediately.
I understand.
They are mutants appointed by the Lord God Emperor himself.
I know.
You should
it's
look
just
at
that
them with reverence.
At school, they taught us we should kill the mutants, ever since I was a little boy, and then all throughout training, and occasionally we get informational packet briefings twice a year, updating mutant-specific kill points. All right, Lord Captain, it looks like we're starting the landing sequence now. I'll get back to you once we're, killing.
Excellent. I'll need someone to clean this mess up faster. It's dreadful.
Yes, I'll clean the mess up here as quickly as possible, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Pierre goes back to yelling.
As the shuttle comes down, you notice that there's probably on the surface outside the landing platform, there's probably around 15,000 people gathered.
Right.
And they've stood back probably a good 30 feet, 40 feet from the edge of the landing platform. They're sort of like all milling, watching the shuttles come down. As you get closer to the landing, you can see that they're all sort of, this group of people they're bedraggled, they're malnourished. Some of them are like holding just things like, mining picks or, cutting saws, that sort of stuff. But they're not holding them up as though they're about to attack. More, they sort of got them in their hands in case they are attacked.
Understood.
Is what you can read from them. And they're sort of nervously milling, murmuring to each other as the shuttle comes down. So clearly the fact that, they've heard from someone who claims to be the Lord Captain's envoy, and there is actually a shuttle coming down with her livery, seems to have cowed them for now. They all they're sort of gathered to see what actually happens, and the shuttle touches down. Nobody rushes the shuttle.
Okay, so I assume it's not just one shuttle, right? Like it's a dozen shuttles. Yeah, it's I assume, given what we took off the Eternal Praetorium, we are shuttle on shuttle on shuttle. We have maximum shuttle capacity right now. All right, so as I step off the shuttle, I adjust my shoulder just to let my little thingy do its menacingness. Yeah. And then I vox over to Captain Bryn of the mercenaries, the Casbalican mercenaries. And I tell him, Captain Bryn, do you have any objections to being left here to have your men manage loading all of the refugees here onto the shuttles?
If that's the job, that's the job.
I just, some people want to get in with the mutant killing. Some people are better off managing shuttle. What's your preference?
I said to you before, we're mercs. We do what we're paid to do. So
okay, well, all right. You manage the shuttle thing.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and address the people here, and then we're going to get started.
Certainly, when the mercenaries sort of pile out of their shuttle, like they cover the crowd with their weapons and such. There's like nervousness moves through the crowd because certainly these are heavier weapons and they're used to dealing with, like especially with the heavy stubbers.
Yep.
So they shift nervously, but they are still cowed.
Can I link into all of the loud hailers on all of the shuttles to get a sort of there we go. And any hackable loud hailers, I just I want to do a stadium thing and just be like,
there's somebody there working with a mixing board, so there's no feedback created.
Yeah, of course. So Nero holds his hand up and says, people of Solitude Station, I am Nero Julius Augustus Bullet. I am a representative of the Lord Captain Pierre Cowles, who has succeeded his mother as the new Lord Captain of the Cowles lineage. You will all be loaded in an orderly fashion, taking with you your personal effects and equipment onto these shuttles, where you will transit back to Solitude Station in safety. You will receive food and resume your normal lives very shortly. Do not resist these mercenaries. Do not resist any of the armsmen. Do not resist at all. Follow all instructions. Obey at all costs. If any of you are explosive demolitions experts, please raise your hands now.
Probably about 50 hands go up in the crowd.
All of you are to step left out of the crowd. I realize that might take a while. I need to speak with you individually. For the rest of you, please form orderly lines to get on these 12 to 15 shuttles. I don't know how many there are, but I assume the CGI artist behind me has painted them all in. Assume orderly lines. This is not a trick. It is not a trap. The Lord Captain Pierre Cowles welcomes you back. All of your problems are being removed. Lord Canicus Cromwell has been removed. You will be allowed to resume worship and work at the nearest opportunity. Do it now.
Give me a plus 40 charm test.
Damn it! You sure I can't intimidate them in some way?
I was listening. That was more of a charm than an intimidate.
Fuck! I should have let Dawn do this.
But it was more good news rather than do it or die.
All right, so I have some problems.
I give you 4 plus 10s for things you said.
Yeah. All right, so let me see here. I have several problems. I have -5 to all social tests because of mentioning the ship. This comes from the Imperial figurehead on it, so I have -5 to all social. And I get -5 to all non-combat, so I only get a +30 charm.
So 45% chance.
I'm not there to give you a +10.
I will spend a fate point to reroll.
Man, this should have been me.
I'm not charming, unfortunately. Wow. Wow.
Here's my point. That's all right.
Painful.
What is your charm? I'm
10,
curious.
15?
15.
15.
Okay, yeah. I'm sitting here with a 50, crossing my arms, being like, yeah, okay.
I'm sitting
Yeah,
here.
so
with
it's only 0 degrees of failure. So that's fine in terms of what that actually means. So people will start lining up and preparing for. There's certainly some, and what happens is people start to like obviously drop their hand weapons on the ground and move away from them as they go and form the lines as well.
I feel like maybe it's not as orderly as Nero.
Yeah.
All right, so Nero goes to wander off over this, what I'm assuming is some sort of like rocky plains, to find the demolition experts.
Yep.
All right. People of the demolition squad, talk to me about your available demolitions. What I need is this statue of Canicus Cromwell destroyed. Then I'm going to need you to come with me and the rest of the armsmen, and we're going to set up what we call on Cadia a murder hole using mining explosives. All right, what's the feasibility of that? What are we talking about in terms of explosive power?
We can create these things. We have plenty of explosives.
Good.
Mate, the statue is going to be hard to bring down just the Cromwell part of it. It's also to join.
Okay, I want to be really clear. If you damage anything that's not the Cromwell point, I will probably kill you. You can take your time on this. You're gonna have a couple of hours, like 6 hours. Is this a 6-hour problem that we can solve?
Well, yeah, more a case of getting up there with mining equipment and separating the Cromwell statue from the other statue first.
All right.
Before we blow it up.
You know what? I'll tell you what. This is not an immediate priority. We can come back to this. All right? So you're coming with me. You're coming with these few hundred armsmen. We're going to go inside. I wave the tech adepts to follow me. And basically lead everybody into the physical structure of the mine head, right?
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So now you've mentioned that there are probably 40,000 or more people down here, but we've only seen 15,000. So
yeah, that's it. So according to, so you asked the people up here, so there are they've lost about 10,000 people.
Okay.
To battle with the heretics basically already. So the remaining 15,000 are actually in the mines, actively trying to either hunt or fight the heretics, or they're hiding inside the minehead itself. They didn't come out to see what's going on, but pretty much you can basically gather about 25,000 people quite readily. About 5,000 people are tied up in terms of actually battling in the mines at this point in time.
Well, sucks for them.
Heretics. Yeah.
All right. So Nero's plan is take the tech adept team, secure the command center, start dismantling the station, call everybody that's in the mines back, basically tell them you're leaving, come back. Then we set up our line, our murder hole, basically. Me, Dawn, the demolition squad, any of the free armsmen. I assume that, probably there were like, what's the capacity of a shuttle, like 10 or 15?
So like a regular transport shuttle is 10 people plus pilots.
Okay.
So, but then you've also got like your transport systems you've got from they've got bigger shuttle capacity from the station. So
right. Well, we have like at least 100 or more armsmen, and more will arrive.
Yeah.
So we're gonna set up like reinforced mining crates, boxes, all that sort of stuff. Create a flow path so that people that are leaving the mines, we get to do a quick physical inspection, find the mutants, tag them, right? Make sure all the mutants are accounted for. So that at the very least, someone can go back and inspect them later for heresy, essentially.
Yep.
All right.
So you're looking at basically 3 to 4 hours to evacuate the people on the from the minehead, effectively.
All right. I'm going to turn to Dawn as we get started at this and say, all right, I've been doing a lot of talking and a lot of threatening. Any suggestions?
No, it
Anything
seems
I've
like
done wrong so
you have
far?
it in hand.
You know, I want to workshop
Well-
things. You know, I'm big on meetings.
I will say that your strengths definitely are with larger numbers of people. My talents generally only tend to work with those who are willing to participate. So forcing someone to take on a faith generally doesn't really work. That's how you get to problematic solutions. So I will be there if anyone has questions or need of counseling, but for the most part, it sounds like you have everything under control.
So Bren approaches you as well.
All right. Captain, what do you have?
Everything seems to be the people here are behaving themselves.
Good.
We've had to take a couple of concealed weapons off people. They obviously don't trust fully, but it's under control. From what I've heard, the fighting happening down in the mine is largely hand to hand with the mutants.
Right.
If the armsmen could manage getting these people in, I'd like to take the mercs in there and maybe try and effectively allow the 5,000 people currently engaged a better chance of getting out of there by engaging the mutants. I'm not talking about hunting everyone last one down. I'm simply talking about...
Right. I understand. How surprising of you to volunteer putting yourself into mortal danger like that. What would preclude such an act of charity from a mercenary?
Because these are innocent people.
Good. I'm glad that you feel that way. If you'll excuse me for a moment, I will call the Lord Captain to see what he thinks about your plan.
Right.
I'm going to get Dawn in on the call.
Yep. We cut back to Pierre, who's currently sort of... You're sitting at a table where, like, all the information about Solitude Station has been sort of laid out before you, so you can go through it. They're taking you through the basic operations, the layout, the current concerns. There's also like an extra file there, which has been, it's like a sealed file. Like it's actually got, like, imagine like a paper filing thing that's got lots of data in it, which has been wrapped up in like a thin metal chain in it and like padlocked shut, which apparently is any data they've got on the alien construct in the system.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's been filed here, but it's been like locked. I mean, literally, you could tear the packaging open. It's
right,
just the chain. The chain is more symbolic of the fact that you shouldn't open this.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And someone says, "Oh, there's another vox call coming through to you from the asteroid."
Put it through.
Okay.
Lord Captain, you're on the line with myself and Sister Dawn.
Hello.
There has been an offer from our slightly more pious than originally assumed mercenary commander, Captain Bryn. He would like to take his men into the mines to relieve the last 5,000 or so miners who are currently under threat. So we've got most, I'd say 85% of the people out, but the last 5,000 are engaged in mortal combat and are unable to leave. It's a question of how you want to handle this. We could, of course, simply continue our current course, present minimal risk to ourselves and our forces, and blow the minehead. They would all die, but so would all of the heretics. And of course, there's no chance that the heretics will escape in that case. Or we can take Captain Bryn and some of our forces in and, put ourselves at personal risk, but save 5,000 of your loyal, faithful colonists.
Indeed.
Captain, if I may interject an opinion, if you'll allow me.
Yes.
I
proceed.
believe it would be best to follow suit with the captain's intuition. Saving or personally coming to the rescue of people here who are fighting against the corruption on your mine is going to lead to a lot of a good swell of morale within the troops here. Saving not just some, but all, that is something that won't be able to be replaced or repeated.
We will lose people doing this.
Indeed. How much time would you think you need, or you can accomplish this goal?
Well, I believe we're 3 to 4 hours into the process, and that gives us 2 to 3 hours before we're prepared to remove the mine head. As for how long it could take to recover these 5,000 people, I can't even begin to give you an estimate. I mean, we're talking about taking armed forces into a close range, intimate killing situation. You know, at the kind of locations where a knife could do serious damage to a human body.
If I ever proceed, just come back to me with the report in approximately 8 hours as possible. If you can't, I understand.
Understood. You're giving us 8 hours to go in, remove as many personnel as possible, and then begin Operation Minehead removal.
I'm giving you 8 hours to get back to the hold of me to give me a status report. I'll give you
Understood.
as much time as you need or require for the latter goal.
It will be done.
Very well.
Nero hangs up.
Okay. So just to be clear, what Bren was proposing was simply using what time was available to save as many people as possible.
Correct. But now we're going extra.
Okay.
We're going hard.
No worries.
Yeah.
Overtime.
Yep, overtime. It's like undertime, but slightly better.
So
This is probably a good point to take a break, I'm thinking.
It is break time, indeed.
Yep.
What better place than here? What better time than now? We'll be back for the second half shortly. Who knows what the fuck will happen? Swoosh.